So, getting into the show, one of my favorite parts of The Wilds is how it's introduced me to so many incredible rising stars that I did not know before. And you've worked with many of them and shared many scenes with them. So, even with all of your experience, can you give us an example of when one of the younger co-stars, I guess, surprised you, whether it was, by using a technique that you had never seen before, or maybe adding something to a scene that wasn't on the page that, really shook something up?
Well, I think kind of most young actors really are going on instincts and less on technique. And that's probably what makes them so powerful, to be honest. They just really are living, breathing. I certainly don't, believe it's a method thing, but I was constantly astonished by their ability to, just to live these gamut of emotions and just let them come out in such kind of raw ways, and I think they all realized, the boys were fabulous in season 2, but I think the girls, as a young actress, you get a lot of shit, you get a lot of rubbish, you see a lot of representations and scripts you read, particularly on television, and that just are very male gaze and very reductive and not really that honoring of female experience, or sexualizing in a way that does not reflect our lived experience. And I think these young women really knew that this was a very, very rare opportunity to explore and represent a full diversity of female experience. And they just went for it. They just all fucking went for it. So I was just constantly astonished. And I think the other thing that always just blew me away is, Sarah would write these very intricate, monologues that some of them were more dense and nuanced and more of a roller coaster ride than anything I've ever been given, as a young actress, particularly. And just their facility to handle the language, because Sarah's language is very specific, is so specific. It's probably the only writing I've ever had where I really, really insist on being word perfect myself, because I know her choice of word is so conscious. So the girls would be handling these very gymnastic speeches with full kind of emotion coming through. And that just, it always blew me away.
So with what you said about working with Sarah's material in mind, are there any particular beats for Gretchen, whether it's season 1 or season 2, where you were so focused on what she created and you really had to talk it through to fully understand the motivation behind Gretchen's choices?
I guess I was always wanting to be very specific, because Gretchen herself is very specific. And honestly, it's really rare in one's career that if you go to the showrunner or the writer and, ask why a particular word's been used, or why would she say something in this way, the answer was always there. There was, and maybe 2 times over the entire season of those questions, or maybe 1 time, Sarah would say, "Oh yeah, actually cut that line. I never really liked it." Because if she couldn't answer it, she knew I had named the thing. In the room we were tossing back and forth, and you're right, let's just get rid of it. But there was always an answer. Amy and Sarah just show their character development and thinking behind every single character's journey was so honored, that's it's just such a gift for an actor, because it's otherwise you're swimming with the tide, not against the tide, because the writing is taking you. The writing is the tide, and the writing kind of takes you there. I think one thing I used to say to them is like, all right, how crazy am I in this scene? Amy goes, pretty crazy. I'm like, should I go like, okay, I'll put that first take down. I'm going to go full clown, right? And they always gave me permission to kind of push. And sometimes it was so stupid. I would go so extreme and everyone would laugh. And, you know, Sarah would be like, maybe it's a little more grounded in reality. But they would kind of let us find where that Gretchen thing sat. But yeah, sometimes I got a few laughs behind camera because she's just so unhinged. And I'd come back and they'd just be like laughing. I was like, should I do a little less? And they're like, yeah, a little less, a little less.
You got to test the limits with a character like that. I get it.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But sometimes I'd be so afraid that I was in my own show because the kids are so earnest with their emotional journeys, and they just full throttle like embrace an emotional realism, right? They're fully emotionally real. And Gretchen is like such a construct. I'm like, am I in the same show? Are you sure?
Can assure you it feels like you are in the same show. You are excellent in it yet again.
Perry.
I got a million more questions that hopefully we'll get to in the future, but congratulations.
Hopefully there's another opportunity. Thanks, Perry.
I'll never say no to them.